Introduction to Job. Author unknown. However, suggestions include Job, Elihu, Moses, and Solomon. Date written. Scholars place the date of the authorship of Job anywhere from the time of Abraham to the time the Jews returned from their Babylonian exile. Time span not specified. Title from the book's chief personality, Job. Background. As the book of Job begins, Job is one of the wealthiest and most prosperous men on the face of the earth. He fears God and lives an upright life during the ancient patriarchal period in the land of Uz, region of northern Arabia. Where written, unknown, possibly the Palestinian area. To whom? Um, to no specific people. Content. Why do the righteous suffer? This is the question raised after Job loses his family, his wealth, and his health. Job's three friends, Eliphaz, Bildad, and Zophar, come to comfort him and to discuss his crushing uh crushing series of tragedies. They insist his suffering is punishment for sin in his life. Job, though, remains devoted to God through all this, and it contends that his life has not been one of sin. A fourth man, Elihu, tells Job he needs to humble himself and submit to God's use of trials to purify his life. Finally, Job questions God himself and learns valuable lessons about the sovereignty of God and his need to totally trust in the Lord. Job is restored to health, happiness, and prosperity, even beyond his earlier state. Keywords: evil and suffering. Comfort. To live a life of faith requires perseverance despite torment and evil. Job was steadfast in his belief in God, for as he told his wife, shall we receive good at the hand of God, and shall we not receive evil? Job chapter 2, verse 10. Christians today are not exempt from broken hearts or suffering, but through it all, we, like Job, can rest in the fact that God is fair, omniscient, omnipotent, and sovereign. He will comfort us if we will turn to him. Themes. Satan cannot bring financial and physical destruction on us unless it's God's permissive will, and God will set the limits. It is beyond our human ability to understand the whys behind all the suffering in the world. Rest assured, the wicked will receive their just dues. We cannot blame all suffering on sin in a sufferer's life. Suffering may sometimes be allowed in our lives to purify, to test, to teach, or to strengthen the soul by showing us that when we have lost all and only God remains enough. God deserves and requests our love and praise regardless of our lot in life. God will deliver all suffering believers either in this life or in that which is to come. Outline. Number 1, Job's background and assault from Satan. Job chapter 1 verse 1 through Job chapter 2 verse 13. Number 2, Job's debate with his three friends. Job chapter 3 verse 1 through Job chapter 31 verse 40. Number 3, Elijah speaking out for God's fairness. Job chapter 32 verse 1 through Job chapter 37 verse 24. Number 4, God's intervention. Job chapter 38 verse 1 through Job chapter 41 verse 34. And number 5, Job's restoration. Job chapter 42 verses 1 through 17. May the Lord add a blessing to the introduction of the book of Job.